Isn't this fun? Aren't we having fun yet, guys? The Vancouver Canucks go to 5-10-2 on the season. Woo! The Canucks might have been the better team tonight. They might have been. They might have genuinely been the better team tonight. I haven't looked at something like Natural Stat Trick yet, but they might have been the better team tonight. Did it matter? No. No, it's 5 straight losses for the Vancouver Canucks on just an abysmal trajectory here. Is it enough for change? I don't know. I'm sure there was some booing as the team came off the ice at the end of this one, but we're going to break this one down pretty quick. I'll go over my thoughts on the game, and then, of course, we'll get your thoughts on the game as always. Let's start in the first period. Demko, Kemper in net. We have Podkolzin taking a hooking penalty 6 minutes in, which prevents Newhook from scoring most likely. And Mikko Rantanen scores his 6th of the season from Makar and Kadri. A bunch of solid chances on this power play. The Canucks penalty kill looked like a wet noodle out there. Just absolutely nothing going on. So the Canucks in this period, so I already mentioned, Rantanen scores 7 minutes on the power play. The Canucks hadn't had a shot since about a minute and a half in. They didn't get another one until about 11 and a half minutes in. The Canucks go almost 10 minutes without a shot on goal in the first period in a game that is supposed to be like the big important game with like management and all this stuff. Like this is supposed to be the game that is where a real impression is made from everything we've heard in the media the last week or so. Or the last few days at least. And that's what they do. They come out, they get no shots for about 10 minutes. They do start to come alive about 8 minutes to go and forward. They get a power play with 6 to play that gets killed off. And the last half of the period was a very good half for the Canucks. And the shots in the first period are being 12 apiece. So everything's kind of okay in this game. They're down a goal, but they're playing okay. Second period, Canucks get an early power play that was absolutely useless. They don't get a shot on goal. They do end up piling on the pressure. Eventually, about 8.5 minutes in, 9 minutes in, we have Connor Garland eventually breaking through. A broken Avalanche stick allows Connor Garland to gather his own rebound, came out front, little shot that got blocked. Really good grinding play. He's able to get his rebound through past Kemper, and it's tied at 1. So, this was genuinely a great period for the Canucks. Shots in this period ended up being 15-7 for Vancouver. We get a late penalty from Horvat. And then literally 30 seconds later, Tyler Mott takes a phantom tripping call, atrocious penalty. And then right off the bat on the face-off, they do an immediate makeup call and call Kadri for interference. So it's all good. It ends up being 4-on-3 as we go into the third period, or maybe it's 4-on-4 once we do get to the third period. And 1.5 minutes in to the third period, Tucker Poolman gets his first goal in like 2 years. I think they said 52 games. He's just not a goal scorer, obviously. And he showed that he's not a goal scorer with this goal tonight. He takes a shot from the point. It sneaks through Kemper. Kemper loses it. He turns around, smacks it into his own net with the blocker. That's not good goaltending. So it's 2-1 Vancouver. And then Chason immediately takes a penalty. I'm talking seconds after this Poolman goal. Chason takes a penalty, and then there's a mess in front. Nazem Kadri ends up scoring. JT Miller hucks him into the post, and a scrum ensues. Somehow Miller didn't get the only penalty here. They evened them up, so it was 4-on-4, but it's 2-2, the second power play goal of the night for Colorado. Then we have Girard hitting Quinn Hughes in the corner. A clean hit, by the way. Quinn Hughes tried to do an extra turn. He kind of got hit almost in the numbers, but not really. So he takes a hit that he didn't like. He skates after Girard 200 feet, the entire length of the ice, breaks his stick on him with a cross check, and the Canucks go back to the penalty kill, and they score again. The penalty kill once again fails, putting Colorado's power play at 3 for 5. It's Makar with a shot from the point, 95 miles an hour, they mentioned on the broadcast. And it's 3-2 Colorado. Quinn Hughes just frustrated, right? He's frustrated the team's losing. He's frustrated that Hit didn't get a penalty call. He goes, takes a stupid penalty. Colorado scores, and it's 3-2. And that basically does it, right? The Canucks then go another 8.5 minutes without a shot. Remember, they are down a goal on a 4-game losing streak, down a goal to the Colorado Avalanche, and they go 8.5 minutes without a shot. And then they pull Thatcher Demko with 2 minutes to go. And they get a couple chances, but I mean, we end up with Pettersson failing to get the puck into the zone with a bad pass over to Besser, and Miller not able to do anything at center ice. And the Canucks really never get anything going with the net empty. A puck is stolen at center. They come in, Rantanen plays it over to Landeskog, who scores, hits the empty net, And that does it. It's 4-2, the final score in this one. Shots in the third period, I think we're 11-5. I had it up here, and it, of course, everything changes after the game ends, but it was something like that. Something like 11-5 or thereabouts in, 11-7. The Canucks did get 2 shots late. So 11-7 in the third period. Total shots in this game is 34-30 Vancouver. We got pluses. We got minuses. Let's start with the pluses, and we'll get to all of your great comments. The pluses. Let's start with the pluses. The second period. The Canucks had a really good second period, guys. Yes. Shout out to the second period. And the second half of the first period. They played 30 really good minutes of hockey tonight. And that makes the shot counter look better. But they also played 30 really bad minutes of hockey tonight. And they scored their only 2 goals in sort of that 30 good minutes. Anyway. And then my other plus for the night is the person who was in the first row in like, I don't know what section that was, maybe like 117 or something, where they had the jersey with all of the old names on it and the thank you Jim sign. That's my second big plus of the night because that was pretty good. Minuses. Here's a fun stat for you that Sportsnet Stats tweeted out. The Vancouver Canucks allowed a power play goal in 10 straight games. So we're 17 games into the season? This is game 17, right? Am I crazy? Am I losing my mind? This is game 17 of the season. And the Canucks have allowed power play goals in the last 10. The first time this team has done that since February of 2009, so 12 years ago. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that's bad. Allowing power play goals in 10 straight games. And that penalty kill went 2 for 5 tonight. The league worst power play, which was at like 63%, which you're getting to the point where it can only go up, right? Like it's so low that it can't get lower, right? And then they go out, and then last game they allow, I think, 2 on 4 or 2 on 3. And then here they allow 3 goals on 5 opportunities. This penalty kill is absolutely atrocious, and it has cost this team so much this year. But there's no signs of it getting better. Like, it's not like, oh man, the other team's getting lucky bounces and they're just happening to find their way to that. No, it's dominant. Like, the team just looks bad on the penalty kill, and they're probably below 60% now. I know it usually doesn't update right away. It usually updates about 15, 20 minutes in. But the Canucks were 62.3 coming into this game. They go 40% tonight. I bet they're teetering right on that 60% edge. Other things, we got a 5-game losing streak. That's a big minus, right? The Canucks had 7 shots in a third period where they were down a goal the entire period. That's also not good. But the biggest issue with this game for me, and my biggest minus, is that this was the absolute worst case scenario for this game, I think. Because these were sort of the things that played out in my mind. One, the Canucks go out and win, and that's always fun, right? Sure, maybe things don't change or whatever, but the Canucks get a couple points and they're not really back in it, but it helps a little and it's fun and people enjoy it and whatnot. Option number 2 was that the Vancouver Canucks get blown out of the water by the Avalanche again, which really builds that snowball of, whether it's management change or coaching change, or things down that line, right? The third option is what happened, which is the Canucks play as almost the better team, the team with more shots on goal, and they still lose, which means Francesco Aquilini can work it out in his mind and say, well, the Canucks were the better team against the Colorado Avalanche, the same Colorado Avalanche that beat some other team 7-1 last week. Don't know who they were, but we went out and we outshot them tonight. This team is still good. But they still lost. They still get 0 points. They're 5-10-2. They're 5 games below 500, and they have 12 points in 17 games. Let's do the math, folks. We've been doing this math for a while, and it keeps getting worse. 12 times 17 divided by 82. That's not the math. 12 times... wow, what am I doing? 17 over 82. No, 82 over 17. I don't know the math. I can't do the math. I'm too mad. I'm too mad to do the math. I'm too frustrated to do the math on what the pace is. We're 17 over 82 of the way through the season. So we're 20% of the way through the season. 1 divided by that. I don't know. It times it by 5, like 60 points, right? We're literally talking about a team that's on a 60-point pace right now, or around there. It might be worse, maybe a little worse than that. That's so bad. It's historically bad, really. And I don't have much else to say. I think this was the worst case scenario, a loss that gave, maybe just a little bit of hope, which is just not what the team needed. Oh, okay. That's my rant. Let's go to your thoughts, your questions. My app that I use to do this looks like it's kind of broken right now. Cause it got some of the questions and then the rest of them didn't make it. I am going to see if I can quickly just press a couple buttons, click a couple keys, and see if I can get it back really fast. So bear with me, folks. Sorry about this. I just need to grab the link to the stream, paste, connect, and let's see if they load. If they don't, I do have the questions all here anyway. So, oh, it worked. Nice. Okay. Questions from you guys. SK saying haircut looks good. I did not get a haircut, but I appreciate it. I just actually put something in my hair. Mark is saying that his pluses were Pullman, Miller, and Chason was actually throwing around the body. Yeah, I thought they were all fine, but again, it's not good enough. And I'm struggling to pick out players that play well, because unless everyone plays well, this team's just going to fall apart. His minuses then are Hughes' temper, penalty kill, power play. Yeah, special teams continue to kill this team. But it's more than special teams at this point. It is everything. Agam saying, is this going to change anything? No. Francesco is obsessed with banning and can't admit his mistake. I think it can change something, but I don't think this game was enough, right? Again, it's a loss where they can, you can twist it in your head to say that like, they barely lost. They play Friday, they play Sunday. If they lose the next 2 games, and this goes to a 7-game losing streak, including a loss to the Chicago Blackhawks, who are terrible right now, that has to be enough, right? I mean, 5 games is a lot for a losing streak. And they're 5 games that were pretty decisive, right? At least 3 of them were very decisive, and the other 2, they just didn't have it in them to win the game. So I don't know. I don't know. I hope it's enough to have some sort of change. Blitz saying 5v5 expected goals were 2.67 to 0.83 for the Canucks. The issue is pretty clear. Yeah, and I mean, you think about it, the Avalanche didn't score 5-on-5 except for the empty net, 6-on-5, right? But you look at all situations, so it actually is updated. So it was 2.75 to 0.95. So basically 3-1 at 5-on-5. But if you bring the power play into it, or you just go all situations, then it's basically even. 2.86 to 2.87 expected goals. So literally a very even hockey game that the Canucks dominated at 5-on-5, and they got crushed on special teams, and the special teams scored more goals, and that's enough to do it. Lots of negative thoughts about Pettersson. SK saying Pettersson won't shoot the puck. Mark saying he's allergic to shooting. Quattrop saying he's terrible right now. Yeah, I don't have an argument for that. Pettersson hasn't been good. And it's unfortunate, right? Because we look at, the models that came into this season, and you would look at, lots of analytical models had the Canucks missing the playoffs, but they all had them missing the playoffs because analytically, Oliver Ekman-Larsson has been very bad the last few years, so that was weighted very highly, but he's been pretty good for the Canucks. Elias Pettersson was weighted very highly because he's been very good, but now he's been really bad. So you have the players who weren't expected to do much playing pretty well, and then the star players just not able to complement them at all. And there's no whole picture here. And if everyone was playing like Niels Höglander, if everyone was playing like Connor Garland, then this team might be doing pretty okay, but it's just not the way things are going. Eric saying, I can't imagine spending money to watch this product in person. Yeah, I'm in the same boat now. I went to my 2 games earlier in the season. I got cheap tickets, and I looked today, and just because I was curious, I was like, I could get into the game for about $30. Nah, I'm not gonna do that. I'd rather just sit at home. And I didn't really enjoy watching this game. I'll be honest. I kind of, the first period especially, I was just kind of sitting there like watching it more out of obligation than out of wanting to watch the game. It was a little more interesting in the third, but it's not a great product right now. Marcus giving another plus of Hamonic and Myers on shot blocks. Yeah, do we have stats for this one? Let's see. We have Myers with 0 blocks and Hamonic with Hamonic with 5 though. So I guess they didn't give Tyler Myers any of the blocks that you're thinking of. But hey, I respect the thought there. But yeah, Hamonic 5 blocks in a game. That's good. Any big shooters? Garland had 5 shots tonight. Besser had 4 shots tonight. Quinn Hughes had 4 shots tonight. Myers had 3. SK saying this also is historically the worst penalty kill group we've ever had. It's historically one of the worst penalty kill groups ever, right? I mean, look at the NHL. Winnipeg is the second worst at 64.3, where the Canucks are close to 60 at this point. It's absolutely brutal. And Winnipeg's making up for it at 5-on-5, right? They're scoring goals elsewhere. They have 10 more goals than the Canucks do this season. They've allowed 15 less. So, it's rough sledding for this team. Wolf Girl saying, thank you for the show with the $5 super chat. Thank you very much. I saw a little promise tonight. Something seriously wrong with Petey. Any thoughts? I don't have any thoughts on Pettersson that we haven't already really gone over. He's not playing like himself. He doesn't have the confidence. He doesn't have that swagger that he used to have. And I don't know. I don't have an answer for you. I've been on, not that I've played professionally, but just right now, I mean, currently the way I'm playing in my leagues, I've probably had 20 scoring chances the last 4 games and I can't score. So I'm kind of feeling what Pettersson's feeling in that way a little bit, but yeah, he's snake bitten and he's not creating his own luck, right? That's a big part of it. It's one thing if he's going out and playing the same way that he previously has and, he's hitting posts or the goalie's just making great saves or the puck's just bouncing off a stick. But that hasn't been what we're seeing. We're just not seeing the same engagement within Elias Pettersson, and it's really hurting the team. JDAC with the $2 super chat saying, fire this team into the sun. I agree. Fire everybody into the sun at this point. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. And Fangirl with the $2.79 super chat as well. Thank you very much. SK saying, honestly, if we lose versus the Jets too, something has to happen. This is so bad. And I agree. But the problem is, when are we going to stop saying if they lose the next game? Because we said that going into the game on Sunday. We said that going into the game tonight. Canucks lost both of them, both in the Sunday one in pretty rough fashion. This one, they put up a good fight, but still lost. And if they lose again, then, it's a 6-game losing streak, but it's a 6-game losing streak that much worse than a 5-game losing streak. And you can sort of spiral and be like, okay, well, they don't get fired after the Jets game. Well, after that Blackhawks game, if you lose that one, everyone's got to get fired. And eventually you keep pushing it down the road enough, the Canucks are going to win a game. Maybe you'd think, right? Arizona's won a game this year, so you'd think the Canucks will at some point. But yeah, something has to change. Quadrop saying, as much as the Canucks penalty kill has been terrible this season, not too far behind that is the power play, not generating any chances or pressure. Yeah, that's fair. The power play hasn't been good either. The Canucks power play is at 15.3% entering this game. After this game, they'll probably drop a spot, and Colorado will move up because they were just ahead of Colorado, but Colorado scored 3 goals in their power play. So the Canucks are going to be 27th in the NHL. That's 6th worst. So yeah, that's bad, but a decent penalty kill and you're not super poorly off, right? But they're both bad and the penalty kill is the worst. So it's a really rough combination. Total Biscuit fanboy saying, I think Shannon said it best. The organization is treading water for years with Benning. Yeah, it's consistent. I mean, you can't say much. They're consistently a bottom feeder team, like just outside the playoffs, or sometimes they get a little better and they make the bubble and they go on a bit of a run, or they're a little worse like this year and they're sort of like 28th in the league, or whatever they are. I don't know what they actually are by points. 27th in the league. Woo! Yeah, no, it's rough. It is rough. Sometimes these comments are disappearing by themselves. Sorry if they're only going up for a second. Kai saying, I never understood the reasoning why players don't go straight to the bench after their stick breaks. It's basically 5-on-3 anyways, especially with our PK. Yeah, it's very dependent on this scenario. On the penalty kill, I can see why you wouldn't, because, on the penalty kill, you're usually not doing a lot of poke checking anyways, a lot of it, especially if you're the high guy, if you're one of the guys on one of the wingers. Usually your job is just to try to block shots, and your stick doesn't do that much there. The problem is it does allow them to get a lot closer to you and try to maneuver around you. But if you leave completely, then the problem isn't that, oh, it's a 5-on-3. It's that it's a 5-on-3, but now everyone's in the wrong position because everyone's lined up for a 5-on-4, if that makes sense. So if you have sort of like the 1-2-1 that the Canucks, or the 1-1-2 that the Canucks have, like 1-1 and the 2, and then this guy breaks his stick and leaves, well, now everyone's scrambling because they don't know what's going on. So it's kind of tricky. Usually what you do is you hope you can block a shot and just punch it out of the zone, or one of the defensemen win a battle and just clears it, and then you can go get a stick. It is kind of a tricky scenario, though. Agam's saying at this point, there's nothing left to do. If nothing has changed at this point, there's nothing to suggest change will ever come. Yeah, it's this is where apathy sets in, right? For a lot of people, because we have been sold since the beginning of the Jim Benning era, which was, 7.5 years ago. We've been sold on it's going to be rough for a while, but we're going to bring in this really good core and things are going to go on the uptick, right? And we saw that. We sort of were able to buy in, right? We had Pettersson come in, Besser come in, Horvat playing really well. They go out, they get Quinn Hughes, they get JT Miller in here, and there's a lot of good players, and you get that little trajectory up, right? You get that little trajectory. They make the playoffs in the bubble, and things are looking like, wow, you know what? It's been a long time. It hasn't been smooth by any means, but they're finally on the uptick, and they're right on the edge of the playoffs. And then they come out and we get sold on all of this, and then the team falls off a cliff and they fail. And now they're failing with no real safety net, right? What prospects are there in the pool? Jet Wu isn't going to be a difference maker. Danila Klimovich is a year away, and he's not going to, he's not going to be an absolute stud year one. Where are the reinforcements coming from, right? It's hard to envision. Back then when the team was, really bad and in the middle of the rebuild, it was easy to envision how things would get better. Right now, it's hard to envision how things are going to get better because this is kind of the team. This is the team that was built, and this is the results we're getting. So the hope is dwindling, and it's dwindling for good reason. Okay. Blitz bring up that we haven't killed off every penalty in a game since October 26th. That's what, 3 weeks? 3 weeks ago. That's crazy. Let's find some good ones here. SK saying that Demko goes from one of the best to one of the worst goals against average and save percentages. Yeah. And again, it really comes down to that penalty kill. And I don't think Demko's been bad. I don't think he's been the excellent self that he was earlier in the season, but he's been fine. He just doesn't have a team in front of him. Richard saying only 65 games left to go. And that's a long ways, right? 80% of the season's still left. But the Canucks are going to have to go on like 103, 105 point pace if they want to make the playoffs. And it's just, you're not going from a team that's literally on like a 60 point pace right now. That's not the team that's going to go out and what, you're going to fire the coach and then the team's pace is going to improve by double. We're going to go from 60 to 110 point pace. So that way they can make the playoffs. It's not going to happen. So we can just be sad for the rest of the year and we'll ride this out until April. We have the Olympics in February. That'll be fun. Canada might make the World Cup. They crushed it yesterday. That's a plus. I actually forgot. Wolf Girl saying, I bet against the Canucks tonight. Sure thing to bet the other team's power play against us. I bet on the Canucks tonight a small amount, and then I bet a large amount on Colorado to win by at least 2. So that empty net goal made me some money tonight. Thank you, Colorado. Justin saying, we'll always support this team, but I'm done with this coaching staff and management. Yeah, and I think almost everyone here is with you there. Kai saying it's insane to me that the ownership are judging the fate of the Canucks' future on these next couple of games. Like the last 8 years haven't been enough. Yeah, that's one of the things that I've been sort of preaching as well, and we talked about it a lot on Canucks After Dark on Monday night. When it was really coming out after the Sunday game, and then on Monday there was the whole media debacle, which I do want to get into here shortly, which I haven't discussed yet. And then it coming out that like, oh, they're really looking at the next 3 games or whatever. And it's like, there's been like 500 games or 600 games or whatever it is under this regime. Why do these 3 matter so much? Like, again, and I totally agree with what you're saying here. I do want to bring up that, I don't know how many of you guys heard it, but on Donnie and Dolly on Monday, they came on and they said, hey, they basically said like the Vancouver Canucks reached out to us privately and asked us to stop being so negative about the team, which is just the most brazen, like it makes me so mad. It honestly makes me so mad. And Rick Dollywell's response to it was great. And he said, we'll stop being negative when you start winning games. And it was a great point. And I hate that they would even go and try that. Totally unrelated, but yeah, that was frustrating. Going to skip ahead a little bit because we're about 25 minutes in and I don't want to take too much of everyone's time tonight. Cause again, it's another day, another loss, in Canucks world. The elder saying, I just want to see if here, the elder saying a fan of over 45 years and still going. This is not as bad as it's been, but we'll never win a cup. 2011 was our best chance. It is hard to see, right? Like, I mean, is this core going to win the cup? I mean, with what assets, right? Like, where is the things to put them over the edge going to come from? Are you going to trade the next 5 first-round picks in the next few years to build that out? It just seems so unlikely. Yeah, it's rough. Leo saying, I don't care for the rest of the season. I regret buying my tickets to games too early. I have 2 more to attend. After that, I won't go to any other game or buy any new merchandise. Yeah, everyone who like season ticket holders and everyone are going to be stuck holding the bag this year because they were kind of sold on, a team that was going to be competitive, a team that was going to try to make the playoffs, and tickets that are probably going to have some value because of that, right? And now they're sort of kind of stuck holding the bag because no one's wanting to go to these games, right? Like I mentioned, I've gone to 2 games this year. One game I sat lower bowl, like row 20. The other game I sat lower bowl, second row. And I think my 2 tickets combined were like $130 is all I spent on those 2 games for really good tickets. So yeah, secondary market. If you do want to just go to a game and watch a hockey game, maybe there's an opposing team that you're really interested in, right? Like maybe you're a big Penguins fan and you want to go, or you really like watching Crosby or whatever, and you want to go watch the Penguins game. That'll be a good time to get some cheaper tickets. Because yeah, people are not going to be super excited to go to these games. Winter Olympics are this year. BR, yes. Tarrant saying it's starting to feel like we'll never get the old Pettersson back. What do you think? I think statistically he'll be fine. And again, how many games has Elias Pettersson played in his career? Elias Pettersson has played 182 games in his career. I'm not at plus 17 playoff games. I'm not writing off Elias Pettersson because 10% of his career he's played really bad. Again, he is coming off of a lot of injury or, a rough injury thing and, hadn't played for 7 months. Again, I'm not trying to make excuses. I don't have the answers, but, I feel like, I don't want to just write him off because he has a bad 17 game slump when he was excellent for the first 165 games of his career. Jeremy's saying, I can pretty much say our season's already over. We missed Sutter on our PK, Mott's back, and that'll help the 4th line, but it's too little too late. Yeah, and I mean, what difference is, Tyler Mott and Brandon Sutter don't take this team from a 60-point pace to a 95-point pace, right? That's just not going to happen. It'll help, but it's not enough, right? There's some drastic changes need to happen. Lots of people, Charm saying the Canadian soccer team was positive. Terry's saying that Demko's good, but there's more room to improve. We should have had that 3rd goal. Thoughts? I don't think Demko's been great the last couple of games, but I mean, I don't blame him that much. He's played 14 games already this year. He's had no defense in front of him, right? I mean, I bet if I look at shots against, is that a stat on here? Shots against per game. Canucks are 13th, only allowing 32 shots against per game. That's not as bad as I thought it was. I thought it'd be like 35, but I mean, he's getting tested with these high danger chances night in and night out, right? He can go on these runs where he's excellent, but after a while, the luck kind of runs out and he's not getting a lot of support. Sure, he could have made a couple more saves tonight. But would that change the outlook of the team? Not really. Maybe they still lose, but whatever. Hagam saying can't be too negative or else Francesco's going to send us an email about it. If Francesco sends me an email, I am publishing it and I am putting him on blast, because if he tries to be critical of my comments of him being 5 and 10, yeah, that's not going to happen. But if that ever does happen, just know I will make it known. Maybe in the future. Sam Wu saying crazy thought, send Pettersson to Abbey for a stint. He'll get claimed on waivers. Any team would take Elias Pettersson. It wouldn't work. Agam saying you got to get rid of Benning ASAP before he does something like Chiarelli did. Yeah, this is something we got to worry about, right? Do they try to make a trade to salvage jobs, try to salvage a season? And again, I come back to, does a trade, let's say you go out and you make a crazy trade and you pick up a top pairing defenseman. Does that take you from a 60-point team to a 95-point team? No. No single trade is going to do that. So it's just a waste of assets if they do something like that, and I am worried about it. Billy's saying you maybe see the Canucks dismantling the core if things don't turn around by the trade deadline. Maybe. I think you could if a new GM comes in. If, let's say, the Canucks lose again and Jim Benning and Travis Green get fired, then maybe a new GM might make some moves like that. But I don't think so otherwise. So many things here. Nathan Grin saying, everyone calling for Benning's head, but without Garland and OEL, this team probably only has 3 wins. Right, but Benning also is responsible for every single other person on this team, right? What that tells me is, okay, the Garland and OEL have worked out really well, but all the other players on the team, which are his doing for them being on the team, because he's been here for 8 years, right? This is the roster that he has built, and he's 100% responsible for the roster. What's that say about the rest of it, right? Terry saying you got 2 tickets for $48 to the Chicago game. Your dad still says you got ripped off. Hey, if you go have fun, then you don't get ripped off. That's fine. Hagam saying I want to apologize to Newell Brown. We mistreated him so much. I'm not apologizing to Newell Brown. He's doing great in Anaheim. Good for him. Warm weather. No crazy stuff going on down there. He'll be fine. A person with the $10 super chat. Thank you very much. Sorry, it's been a while since you did it, but so many comments to go through. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Person G then saying plus ParkersPucks minus everything about the Canucks. Well, thank you. I wish I had wins to talk about. That was the goal for this year. That's why I really wanted to do these post-game live streams, because it was going to be really fun to hopefully celebrate some wins as a group with, the 130 of you that are in here right now, or if it would be even more if there were wins. That would be a ton of fun. So we can just try to make the best out of a bad situation here. Nacho saying this is such a mess right now. Who says things get better if they change the coach or GM? And yeah, this is kind of fair, right? Things aren't going to get better this year. Things might get a little better to the point where they improve, but it's not going to save the season. But at some point we have a coach and a GM that have failed at every turn, right? We have a GM that hasn't been successful in his whole time here in 8 years. And a coach that, when given a roster that lots of people thought would be good, is on a 60-point pace. And it looks like the team sort of checked out. Well, you got to make some sort of change. And the sooner you make the change, the less ramifications or negative ramifications it could have down the line, right? Because if the longer you keep them, if things are going bad, they're just going to get worse for longer. Yeah, lots of people talking about, Travis Green and Jim Benning, and I don't have much else to add there. I think my thoughts are pretty clear. As I've said for the last while, fire everybody. Just fire everybody, because, you might as well. I'm just sorry guys, I know there's a lot more questions, but I do want to wrap up here. We're about 35 minutes in, and I am just tired. I'm tired. I'm frustrated. We'll be doing this again on Friday, So look forward to that. Yeah, I don't really have much else to add. By the way, guys, I just hit 400 followers on Twitter. So if you guys want to come follow my Twitter, it's at ParkersPucks. If you want to see my ramblings of pain during these Canucks games and have some fun there, make sure you're subscribed to the channel here as well. I do really appreciate all of you who come to watch these. Hitting the like button helps. Leaving these comments helps. So I really appreciate it. Other than that, shout out to all of our members, everyone who's signed up for our memberships here. I think there's 15 of you and the 5 backstage members. I really appreciate all of you, Shannon, Terry, Kurt, Lucas, and Adam. And with that, I'm going to wrap up. Thank you guys very much for hanging out with me. Hopefully something changes. If something does change, let's say someone gets fired, in the next couple days, then there'll be a video from me or a stream from me or something like that. Anyways, that's all. Have a lovely night.